The wealthy elites are vampire maxing. Yes, vampires are real in a sense. Let me talk about the myth of the vampire and how it actually has some real truth to it. The consumption of blood is a very real part of this amongst the elites in a way, but we'll get to that part later. Now, notice how most red drinks are considered to be really good for you. You know, pomegranate juice, very healthy, full of anti-aging antioxidants. You know, cherry, cranberry, tomato drinks like V8. They're all considered to be like pretty healthy, longevity conducive drinks, especially the pomegranate one. Um, my theory is that the drinking of red fluids somehow came to be associated with the vampiric elite and their longevity. Hell, even red wine is commonly enjoyed by wealthy people and has been known to have a bit of resveratrol in it. And if you don't know what that is, it's like a longevity inducing antioxidant of some sort that's pretty powerful. You can look it up. Now, you know, red wine doesn't really have that much of it in there, so if you were ever to use it, you'd be better off just supplementing it. But anyway, that's a different topic. But I could see some people saying, you know, drinking pomegranate juice, that's a little bit of a stretch just to call someone a vampire. But I'll talk about the blood next. Basically, we've known for a while that wealthy people can undergo all sorts of medical procedures that help to reduce the effects of aging. You know, these are things that poor people, normal people, don't really have access to. It's kind of a rich people thing. You go to Mexico, and you can basically, if you're rich, you can just use poor people in third world countries as blood bags and organ farms. Now, in many cases, these people have to pay extra and go to a special clinic. That might be in a foreign country like Mexico or whatever. Somewhere in Asia, that's another, you know, like medical tourism in Thailand, Korea, and all those types of places is becoming increasingly common for the elites, and it's not just for like essential care type of stuff. It's also for cosmetic procedures and longevity boosting procedures that are more of a quality of life thing and a overall health span thing than an actual necessary procedure. But for these wealthy people, it's easily worth the price. They can smear the blood of young people onto their faces in conjunction with other techniques like microneedling in order to rejuvenate their skin. They can get blood platelets injected into their joints and regrow cartilage so they can, you know, live and be active like a young person can. This is not inherently a bad thing, in my opinion. Some of these things are quite good, but you can't deny the kind of vampire-esque element of this stuff. They can also get stem cells, which are usually harvested from young third world children to heal all sorts of age-related, you know, issues that start to come over a person over time. They can rejuvenate themselves. There was an interview with Dan Bilzerian where he went on and some podcast, it might have been Joe Rogan or one of those, and he was talking about how he went to Mexico to get the stem cell treatment injected into him, and he said it felt like a literal surge of power coursing through him when he got that stuff injected. So whatever they're putting in that stuff, or, you know, I don't know if they're putting anything in it. It might just be the case. Listen, all I'm saying is that saying that a surge of power went into you, that's something a vampire would say, okay? That's how a vampire, if you've ever seen how a vampire acts in a movie when it gets some blood, when it sucks some blood, they always get like a surge of power from it, and they get younger or whatever. But anyway. So take a look at that billionaire guy, Brian Johnson. You know, he used his own son, who is, of course, younger than him, but genetically very similar to him, he used his own son as a blood bag. Blood is life energy. There is absolutely a metaphysical power grab going on here, too. In the same way that these rich boomers have committed intergenerational theft by climbing all the corporate ladders and shutting the doors behind them on us when they get to the top, they're committing an intergenerational form of like metaphysical life theft in a literal sense by harvesting all the nice, tasty blood and organs and stem cells from young people. Make no mistake, wealth extraction is also a form of psychic vampirism, if you think about it. It's all the corporate hazing you go through just to work as a wagee for diminishing returns over time. You know, we don't have the fraction of the purchasing power that the same job would have had back in 1975 or whatever. It's all vampirism. It's vampirism over time, psychic, economic vampirism, parasitism. They're fucking vampires. So, of course, vampirism is going on multiple levels. Anyone who's heard of the Epstein files, which if you found this video somehow, I assume you probably know what the Epstein shit is about. They know that they were like eating babies and doing all that weird shit with like the blood and the rituals and all that shit. That's vampire shit, dude. It's fucking vampire shit. What if I told you that by harvesting third world children, they're actually getting probably some sort of longevity benefits from it too? It's probably not just, it might not just be the fact that they're definitely getting some sick sexual pleasure out of it, some kind of sick, they're getting off in that way for sure. We know that from the Epstein stuff, but they're also getting some kind of weird longevity stuff. You know, these people live long lives assuming they don't mysteriously kill themselves, like in the case of Epstein or whatever. So yeah, but on top of all that, you know, this is all sort of like paralleled by the fact that they're just loosh farming you and psychically draining you via things like social media or any form of like mainstream media, entertainment, whatever, is essentially designed to psychically vampire you. All that stuff, that's what it's for. That's what it does. You give your time, your emotions, your energy to them while you're at work, and then do the same thing at home when you go to watch Netflix. It's basically a giant metaphysical pyramid scheme where you're getting harvested in every possible way. Notice how everything on social media is an attempt to loosh farm you and suck your emotional energy. Either through rage baiting you, which, by the way, rage baiting, it's a demonic behavior. It is a psychic vampire technique. So they're rage baiting you with contentious topics, or on the other hand, instead of rage baiting you, they might be like goon baiting you with all the like, sexy goth chicks or whatever, just throwing, female, sexual, attractive women in front of your face all the time, just constant. These days it's just all either goon bait or rage bait. It's something like that to just suck you in and suck you dry, basically. Okay, so enough of all the sucking and fucking and whatever. Let's talk about the next aspect of being a vampire. Vampires fear the sun, right? That's a big aspect of it. But if you think about it, the sun is literally the worst thing for your skin in terms of aging. So you'll see the picture of a truck driver who had one side of his face exposed to the sun for 28 years because he was, of course, driving a truck, and so the one side's on the window side and the other side's on the inside side, And the other side of his face that was not exposed looks like 20 years younger. It's crazy. So just saying, these wealthy elites, they historically spent more time inside than us peasants. They did not get as much exposure to the elements. And so naturally, they didn't age as fast. That's probably a lot to do with where these, the myths are coming. They're drinking all the red fluids. They're going They're not coming. They're staying locked up in their castles and doing inside stuff rather than, and they're probably pale on top of that from the lack of sun. So they're aging slower. They're pale, drinking red fluids. So hypothetically, if you wanted to vampire max like the elites, all you'd have to do is avoid the sun and use SPF, whatever. Probably take a vitamin D supplement so you don't become deficient. Drink the red stuff like pomegranate juice and blood or whatever. Bathe in the blood of your enemies. I don't know. Go to Mexico and get some stem cell treatments that have been harvested from third world children. And a bonus one is you can start eating your steaks rare to get the extra blood benefits. Supposedly there's some health benefits to like lower cholesterol or something from, I don't know how true that is, but I just read that somewhere. You know, you can look that up, but supposedly eating the steak less cooked is lower cholesterol or something, but yeah. So I guess the point of this video is that not only do the rich live better lives due to their exploitation, but they live longer lives too. So kind of a double black pill there. But yeah. So till next time.